Wittenberg University Volleyball, following an NCAA Tournament victory over Cabrini, head coach Paco Labrador, players Seidenstricker and Kiah.
All right, guys, congratulations on an outstanding victory. How do you think tonight's game sets you up for the rest of the tournament?
Me? Anybody? All right, I'll start us off. We think that every first match of the NCAA tournament is always interesting because you don't really have a lot on your opponent. And it's the first match, and so it's a little bit different because there's a lot more ceremony and practice times are kind of strange. But it was wonderful to be at home, and we felt like we got off on a pretty good start with some pretty good play.
I agree. I think that the first match is always a good way for us to just get in the flow of the NCAA tournament and see how everything works and all of the scheduling and things. So it's just a good way to get started.
It's an excellent way for us to get our feet wet, just play.
So you guys started out with a tremendous amount of momentum in the first set. How were you able to keep that going for 3 sets?
I would say starting off the first set, Cabrini did a wonderful job passing and keeping themselves in system quite a bit. So our servers, who typically are able to make opposing teams a little more predictable, we weren't getting that from them as much. And so we really had to work a little bit harder per point to make sure that we were scoring those. And when another team is running their offense at you and making you work for each point, it really does kind of get you ready for each point subsequent from that. So I think set 2 was just continuing playing tough from set 1.
With the first set, Cabrini ended that set really strong. They evolved really well during that first set, so we had to take that last half of the set and know that we needed to come out stronger in the second set and harder because they were already adapting to what we had for our first options.
I'm really thankful that we got to play Cabrini. I mean, I think they showed us a really good taste of what the tournament's all about.
How did you guys anticipate tonight's game would go? Were you anticipating such a convincing win, or what were your thoughts going into the game?
The tough part about the NCAA tournament is you don't find out who your opponent is until Monday, and so once you find that out, you can look at a couple stats, and if you're lucky, you might get a film on an opponent, but you really don't go in preparing for an opponent in the first round of the tournament. You go in preparing your own team. So we paid a little bit of attention to who's got the stats. I mean, their number 5 was their conference tournament MVP, and so you know that there's obviously some good play there. And but other than that, the first match is typically just make sure that the things that you do well, you are doing well, and you're prepared to change things if your opponent, as Cabrini did, if your opponent starts to exploit different parts of your team.
Yeah, going into the NCAA tournament, we always know that every opponent is going to be a serious opponent. So going into practice this week, we focused on making sure that our side of the net was as sound as it could be, knowing that we're going to have 3 tough teams going into this weekend.
We just prepare as much as we can.
Being the third one stinks.
Yeah.
Right, and then I have to ask, you guys usually travel for events like this. Talk a little bit about what it was like to play at home for such a high-stakes tournament.
Well, I think that our crowd was really, really important tonight, and we want to thank all the fans that came out to support us. It was really, really nice to see a full gym. And it was just nice being at home and being able to sleep in our own beds and being able to go to school once.
You guys want to talk a little bit about Mount Union as your next opponent? You've seen them once before.
Yeah, when we saw them about a month ago, they were different than what we saw tonight. So they've got some different players in the lineup, and some of the things they're doing is just a little bit different. The defense they ran against us is different than what they ran tonight. So really, we're expecting a good battle. They have their conference player of the year is a lefty right side, and our conference player of the year is a lefty right side, and it's just going to be one of those, I think, epic battles where 2 teams who probably are going to know each other fairly well and who are fairly similar in the way they play and the way they get after volleyball play. So I can't wait. It's going to be a really fun match regardless.